agencies and the airlines, if they sell at that rate, the volume of naira is increasing. Okay? So you might say, oh, tariff is getting high, meaning that demand will fall. If demand falls, the challenge is for the airlines. If demand falls, they review their prices. Anything we do outside economic dictates, we are forcing it. The airlines will either reduce capacity to sustain that price, or they will begin to review down their prices if they don't want to reduce capacity. It's as simple as that. If I'm doing 14 services to Nigeria in a day, and I realize that the traffic is falling because of the quantity of naira that buys a Lagos-London ticket, I'll reduce 14 services to 7. That's reducing capacity. There will still be demand because those who must travel must travel. The aviation sector in particular is collapsing, and that must not continue. The other side of the equation is, if the foreign airlines are pulling out, what is the remedy? The Nigerian sector should, what they lose, we should gain. But who is going to gain? We have your Arik, you have your Medview. How many aeroplanes each? I don't know any other Nigerian airline doing international. Their capacity is not enough to grab what they lose. Otherwise, I would say, hooray! Good for Nigeria. Let United go. Let Delta go. Let BA go. So that the Nigerian airlines can take it. The Nigerian airlines will not need as much dollar to repatriate like them. Why? Because if 40% of cost is fuel, the Nigerian airlines will be lifting their fuel locally, all right? But if you add all the Nigerian airlines together, all the airplanes they have today, everything added together, maybe 30, 50 airplanes. That's exaggerating. Arik, 30. Medview is getting to 37. 37 airplanes. The smallest airline, even in Africa here, South Africa, I think is about 80 aircraft or 50-something aircraft. So how do you want to reciprocate an Emirate? How do you want to reciprocate a Qatar? We don't have enough capacity yet. If airline operators of Nigeria want to cut their losses and say, Aero, Medview, Arik, the three of us in the morning will call ourselves Nigeria Air. Nigeria Air operated by Medview. Nigeria Air operated by Arik. Nigeria Air operated by... So we have different operations at different timings, but all of us are selling into that flight. There's another flight at 7:30, Nigeria Air 002, Nigeria Air 003, and we still have our identity. The only thing is that we are positioning our aeroplanes and we are providing service. So the Nigerian airlines are self-killing. They are killing themselves. It isn't that the capacity is not there. It is that it's not harmonized.
Time to go on a short break. Aviation This Week will be back with News Flash.
Newsflash takes off with the airline operators of Nigeria's praise for the federal government at its efforts at reaffirming the zero duty and VAT payment on the importation of commercial airplanes and its spare parts as a way of alleviating the cost burden on local operators and ensuring safe flight operations. The AON says this is a welcome development, stating that the federal government now recognizes the critical role that aviation plays in driving the Nigerian economy and sustaining jobs. The chairman of the domestic airline body in Nigeria, Captain Nogie Megison, stressed that the gesture was extended specifically to commercial aircraft operators and not private jet operators who are required to pay for luxury taxes. Still on airlines, as Overland Airways has now joined the list of registered Nigerian airlines who have completed the International Air Transport Association Operational Safety Audit and has been listed on the IOSA registry, otherwise called the IOSA. The IATA Operational Safety Audit (IOSA) program is an internationally recognized and accepted evaluation system designed to assess the operational management and control systems of an airline. According to the CEO of Overland Airways, Captain Edward Boyo, the IOSA audit is a pronouncement of the outstanding safety culture of the airline. Now to the foreign scene. The biennial Farnborough Air Show opened on Monday, the 11th of July, with Airbus and Boeing raising the long-term forecast for the new aircraft demand, betting that rising wealth in Asia would continue to boost air travel and offset any short-term hits to the global economy. The world's two biggest plane makers also announced some of the multi-billion-dollar jet deals. The Vice President of Marketing at Boeing Commercial Airplanes, Randy Tenseth, said the Brexit vote has raised many questions.
You know, when we take a look at Brexit, clearly it's caused a lot of turmoil in the marketplace. What we're watching is what will it do in terms of impact of the long-term economic growth here in the UK, the long-term economic growth in Europe. What will it do to trade? I think there's more questions than answers right now, though.
We obviously don't like a weak sterling, and we had taken steps in anticipation of a possible Brexit to hedge or protect ourselves from sterling movements in the short run. But in the end, how that affects demand for travel could certainly be a challenge. But I'm pretty confident. I'm very confident that regardless of that, we've positioned the company to ride our way through this and be successful.
Airbus and Boeing have enjoyed years of strong sales, with rising air travel and demand for new fuel-efficient planes, raising the industry's order backlog to a record 13,500 planes at the end of 2015. Boeing has forecast airlines will need 39,620 new aircraft worth $5.9 trillion over the next 20 years, up 4.1% from its estimate last year, and that airline passenger traffic would increase by 4.8% per year over the next 2 decades. Among the civil aircraft deals announced at Farnborough, Virgin Atlantic ordered 12 of Airbus's biggest twin-engine plane, the A350-1000, in a deal worth $4.4 billion at list prices.
The Virgin order today was one which was expected. Virgin's going through a big process of fleet renewal, so this isn't necessarily expansion. It will partly replace existing older aircraft in the fleet. For example, older 747s will go out of Virgin's fleet in the coming year or so. They need to get more efficient aircraft anyway, and indeed, even if there is any kind of slowdown, having newer aircraft which offer more efficiency helps to protect airlines in their ability to keep on operating.
Airbus raised its 20-year demand forecast to 30,070 new aircraft, up 500 from its previous estimate, and saw passenger traffic rising by an average 4.5% per year.